Hello and welcome to Fantasy Premier League, the D-Unit journey. Today you are here for two things. I've combined them both into one video because of the fact that we have an early deadline. There's only 3 days to do this. Today, in the first half of the video, I'm going to be covering the differentials that you need in your team for Gameweek 14 to boost your rank. In the second half of the video, if you want to skip ahead to that, if that's what you're really here for, I will be covering a wildcard draft for Gameweek 14. It'll be very similar to my Gameweek 13 one. I think I've nailed the template moving forward. Considering I got 88 points on the weekend, I'm pretty damn happy with the way things have looked. So without further ado, let's not waste any time. It's very precious. We've obviously got that Tuesday night deadline, which the stream will be out tomorrow for any questions, so make sure you bring them. Even if you want to ask a question, whack on here and I'll discuss it in the deadline day stream as well. But without further ado, let's get into the differentials for Game Week 14. So, how important are the fixture runs of Brighton, Arsenal, Bournemouth and Chelsea, and do you really need to offload Brian Mbuemo? That is the question that a lot of people are asking, including myself, and I can tell you that I have made the move. I haven't been impressed with his output since Wissa has come back into the team, and I don't like the position that he's playing on the pitch. And he doesn't look like much of a threat. And considering Bournemouth have been scoring goals for fun at home, he has been relatively disappointing, all things considering. And I think that is enough to warrant a transfer out of your squad. I think there's just so many good options. I'm going to talk you through the good options that I've identified that are a little bit differential. They're less owned, obviously. And this is where the points are. So many people have already moved to the Palmer, the Salah and the Saka trio, which means that if you're trying to gain rank, it's very hard because if everyone's got them and literally everyone should be captaining one of them every week just to be playing it safe. If you get it wrong, like a lot of people did on the weekend and you captain João Pedro, then it doesn't look good for your rank, I can tell you that much. I obviously nailed it, got the Saka captain differential this week. I backed him in over Salah and Palmer, and I was slightly rewarded with a couple of extra points, so that was very nice. But look, the goalkeepers I'll be discussing this week: Verbruggen, Sanchez, Forster and Kelleher. Defenders: Gomez, Davis, Kirkers and Timber. Not many defenders this week. Midfielders, this is where I'm focusing most of my this part of the video on, is in the midfielders. There are so many good options that you can replace. Now, originally, I was thinking of getting rid of Bruno Fernandes, but he obviously got 2 assists, and I much preferred the position he was playing against Everton last night. And if he stays there, he's going to, I think, be staying in my team because I think he will continue to get more assists and goals from there. But there's also another couple of Man United options I'm going to float to you today that did look really delicious in that game. And then I'm going to look at the forwards as well. So Delap, Valenson, Strand Larsen, Havertz, Gapco, Vardy, and obviously the midfielders, as I said before: Matoma, Bowen, Gordon, Kluivert, Ahmad, Odegaard, Enzo, Souček, Kluivert and Rashford. So without further ado, let's jump into what they look like, why I'm recommending them. It's the best way of doing it. So let's roll. All right, this is also a really good time to mention that if you are new, please smash the subscribe button and please make sure you like the video as well. Leave a comment as well if you think I'm barking up the wrong tree or if I've missed someone out, because potentially I may have. But look, we're going to start with the goalkeepers. Obviously, Verbruggen's still in goal now. He has been relatively disappointing for me starting the last 2 weeks. Conceding against Southampton is not ideal, and Fulham are a very good team. But you would expect him to get some save points this week against Fulham, I would think. So at the minimum, he's probably going to get you at least 2. Realistically, I just think that they eventually are going to keep clean sheets. They've got enough nice looking fixtures here that surely Brighton start keeping some clean sheets, which is why I think Verbruggen's such a good option. But, they may not. At the end of the day, he has been getting save points. Goalkeepers in general this season have just been an absolute nightmare for me. That's the one position I just have not nailed this season. So take that with a little pinch of salt. Pope I still really like as well as a goalkeeper now. He's only 6.9% owned, but he has got Liverpool this week. So he will be on the video next week at the end of this week after this midweek game for Game Week 15. He does look pretty good there. So that is definitely something you need to keep in mind. Now, Robert Sanchez, I did weigh him up prior to doing that. And look, he is up to the 3rd highest rated goalkeeper this season. And he still only costs 4.7 mil. Now, I still don't think he's actually that good of a goalkeeper, but the XG that he conceded against Aston Villa was none. That can't be right. Something's going wrong with this. It's saying that he's had... expected goals conceded. My God, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. It's tired from overnight watching the football. So 1.15, he's obviously saving something, and he's obviously got 3 saves here as well. So look, I don't really rate him as a goalkeeper, but the points don't lie. And he's now the 3rd highest rated goalkeeper for the season. So he's even above David Raya. You can save yourself some money there and get him in. Now, the 2 real budget options. At the moment, Kelleher is an interesting one. His form has been so good for Liverpool. He's been saving penalties. Does Alisson come straight back into the team? I'm not sure. Kelleher is playing that well. I think maybe he keeps his spot. It'll be interesting to see, but at the moment, I should have done what I was going to do on Wildcard and just kept him in the team. He would have got me 14 points compared to Verbruggen's 5. So look, sometimes it is just worth taking a bit of a punt on like these kind of players that are the second choice keepers. And Kelleher's been amazing. Nothing short, but other than amazing for his owners. So look, well done to you if you kept him and you've been playing him, because he's been superb. Now, someone that is interesting on this list, and only obviously started the first game of the season against Tottenham and probably was unlikely to start at all. Only 0.3% ownership. Now, Tottenham don't defend very well, which is why I wouldn't be rushing out to buy him. But Vicario is definitely going to be out until the new year, and that's quite a lot of fixtures, I would think. So he's not the worst shout in the world. I just don't know if he can back in Tottenham to keep clean sheets. So that is my only query on that. But if you're after a cheap goalkeeper that is under 4.5 mil, he is playing, and he's likely to get you more points moving forward. I just don't know if he's going to be getting any clean sheet points, but he's likely to probably get you some save points in there, I would suggest, with the way Tottenham play. All right, on to the defenders. So defenders are very similar to last week. Look, defense, they just don't keep clean sheets very often. That's just the honest truth, and it's been very frustrating for owners this season trying to get clean sheets. Mazraoui was looking really good for a clean sheet, and obviously then gets pulled off at 55 minutes. That is a concern for Manchester United defenders moving forward under Ruben Amorim. He has not been afraid to pull an early sub before 60 minutes, and that is highly frustrating as an owner, watching a player go off so close to the magical number where you get a clean sheet. So I think for that reason, you can't really recommend him. Now, Wan-Bissaka's been pretty damn good, and I know he's not on the list, but 4.5 mil, he's scored twice in the last 2 games. I just don't understand how that's happened. Obviously, he kept a clean sheet against Everton in Gameweek 11 as well. I don't think he's likely to keep his scoring run going. For Manchester United, I think from memory, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I'm pretty sure he only ever scored twice. And he was there for like at least 5 years, I'm going to say. So realistically, we're going to see more goals? Probably not. But look, you got to take it. And the next 5 weeks for West Ham do look delicious. You would think they're likely to keep some clean sheets there. They had been looking slightly better until obviously Arsenal just blew them away in the first half on the weekend. So I don't mind him as a pick. At 4.5 mil, you can't really go wrong. And like the way other defenders are playing, it's just hard to recommend anyone else. Now, obviously, Kirkes is still on my team, and I'm super gutted that he was on my bench with his 7 points. But he did get an attacking return, 0.06 expected goal involvement, but he made the most of it, and he absolutely rifled that shot into the net. He does play a lot like a left winger. I expect Bournemouth to score against Spurs. I just don't know if I expect him to keep a clean sheet. So for that reason, I think he's a wait and see. But after this week against Tottenham, there's no reason not to bring him in. And he does have that attacking threat going forward. Now, another player that does have that attacking threat and is probably the most attacking defender in the league this season, and that's Leif Davis. Now, Leif Davis had an expected assist of 0.37 against Nottingham Forest, who are a very good defensive team, 0.29 against Manchester United. He has been unlucky, super unlucky, that people have not been putting his chances away that he has been creating for them. I would expect him to have a couple of attacking returns over the next 3 weeks, though. So that is why I'm recommending him. He is a short-term play. I don't really like their fixture run from 17 through to 20, but in the probably 17 through to 27, really, now that I look at that. But for the next 3 weeks, he is a really good punt, and I think he will get your points. And like, it's not worth, if you've got a free transfer, which you might, and you're looking for a little bit of points, he's someone you could definitely look at. Now, the other interesting one, obviously, Canade got injured, and he's going to be out until the new year. Now, Joe Gomez is 4.8 mil. Now, he started against Manchester City. The only problem I've got here is that potentially it could be him and Quansah rotating. But it was Gomez in this game, and you would hope that means he's likely to be nailed on. And if you want a cheap option into the Liverpool defence, he does look pretty good at 4.8 mil. I don't know if you'd jump on before Newcastle, but definitely after that, I think that we can expect some more clean sheets from Liverpool. And they've been amazing. Even against City, they never really looked like they were going to concede. So I think you've got to keep that into account in particular for that very reason. Now, on to the main event, which is why we are all here. You want to know who is going to replace Bryan Mbuemo. Now, the reason why lots of people are dumping him is because the stats do not lie. He has been relatively poor since the Ipswich game, where he got 15 points. His expected goals and goal involvement has been 0.01, 0.34, 0.12, 0.08. There is a reason why I sold him. That is not good enough for that price. And look, he'd made me money, and I sold him for 7.6. And I bought him at 7.2. So I did really well to get rid of him for the price I got rid of him for. And we'll talk about the option I bought in. But look, that's just got to be mentioned there. Now, Brennan Johnson, he obviously returned his owners. Now, he's not on this list, but, I just can't recommend Tottenham assets. It's so hard to recommend Tottenham assets because one week they're brilliant, one week they're not. And, he was looking not really brilliant for most of this game. And then he scored from 0.31 expected goals. So, look, I don't know. I just can't recommend Tottenham assets, which is why his name does not make that list. So, and Maddison's has been taken off for the exact same reason. You just can't trust him to deliver from week to week. It's super frustrating. Iwobi, by the way, was super unlucky in that game. He obviously got the assist, but he rifled the crossbar. He could have had another double-digit haul. And I did say he was a great differential. He could be all right against Brighton at home, but then I don't really like the next 2 weeks after that. And in fact, 3 of the next 4 weeks after that aren't the best. And then Fulham's run does open up again. But look, if you hold him and you've got him, I'd be holding him because he's been super good. Now, the first real option we want to talk about in replacing Bryan Mbuemo is Jarrod Bowen. Now, Jarrod Bowen, as you can see here, has been okay. He hasn't been, other than the one big digit haul against Ipswich in Gameweek 7, he has been, steady. But West Ham's run the next 5 weeks is delicious. He's on penalties, and his numbers have been pretty decent when West Ham have been playing well. When West Ham haven't been playing well, you can tell because it's like the 0.1, the 0.07, 0.07. But like when he has been playing well, West Ham have been playing well, his numbers for expected goal involvement are much higher. But look, his overall stats there is 0.18 expected goals per 90, 0.21 expected assists per 90. So look, he's an option. 7.4 million. I really like the next run of 5 fixtures for Jarrod Bowen. Now, Clivert, obviously fresh off the back of a hat-trick of assists, and he has featured before, and I think we have to start paying the man a bit of credit. When he's averaging over 70 minutes now, and his expected goal involvement is now up to 0.55 expected per 90 and 0.12 expected assist per 90. That is definitely an improvement and something that shouldn't be sniffed at. Look, the last 4 weeks in particular, Man City 0.54, 0.26 against Brentford, 0.25 against Brighton. I'm going to rule out the Wolves game because you get such high XG from penalties that we can't look at that. 0.85 against Arsenal. Like, he has been doing it against decent teams, and I think that's something you need to keep in mind, and he is starting to get that run of consistency in the team. The Tottenham fixtures, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I know it says it's 4 on the FDR fixture difficulty rating, but I just think that that's irrelevant at this point. So I think that I really like Clivert there. I think I'd bring him in. Like, if I really wanted a cheap enabler, he is definitely one of the ones to get you a bit of money that you can upgrade somewhere else in your team if you need to upgrade your defence or whatever and get the one budget player. I really like Clivert. He looks really good. Now, the bloke that I've gone for on my team, as you can see here, Bryan Mbuemo, is Mitoma in my team. So I did rate him. He was on this video last week, and look, he backed it up with another 0.67 expected goal involvement and another goal and 10 points against Southampton in a fixture that looked delicious. Now, Brian's run is pretty damn good, as I've talked about for a number of weeks now, and it's hard not to think that he's not going to continue to score well. He's up to 7.7% ownership. He's someone that I bought in and I'm backing in to deliver. Look, his stats are pretty comparable with Bowen, but he's going to, he cost me 1 million less because I got him at 6.4 million. He's now up to 6.5. He's got 0.29 expected goals per 90 and 0.18 expected assists per 90. So slightly better than Bowen in terms of his expected goals, but slightly worse, I think, in terms of his expected assists. But for 1 million less, he looks like a really good option. Now, The next option I want to talk about on this list is one Marcus Rashford. So Marcus Rashford has a habit of doing super well when there is a change of manager. He actually starts super well under managers. And I think he is someone you have to definitely keep in mind here, that he is likely to pop off a little bit more, I would believe. So he got 14 points, one bonus point only in that, from 2 goals against Everton at home. And that was only from 0.46 expected goal involvement. Against Ipswich, he scored 0.29 expected goal involvement. He's up to 0.15, 0.13 respectively per 90 for the season. Now, his stats are the worst out of all the players I've talked about so far. I just have a feeling that Marcus Rashford is going to go on a bit of a purple run. And when he's on a purple patch, as we've seen previously, he can rack up those points super quick. So I just want to flag that. He may not be the best option in this list, but at 4.1% ownership, he's definitely a differential and nothing to be sneezed at, especially if he keeps on starting in the team in the Premier League. Now, I don't mind Barnes and Kulusevski, but I wouldn't be recommending them. There are better options. Semenyo is also a really good option. He's on that list. He's back off suspension, so he will be playing 6.7% ownership. Again, Bournemouth's run is pretty damn good for the near future and the medium term, so you couldn't go wrong there with bringing him in. I don't mind him at all. Jorginho, again, is another good option. He is going to free up some money as well. Obviously, he'd make you $2 million by jumping down to him. His numbers have been all right. He's a bit of a minutes concern, but his expected goal involvement has been really good. He, unfortunately, against Southampton, 0.43 expected goals. He couldn't make the most of that, which is unfortunate for anyone that did have him. Bono Adio has obviously scored. Now, Ahmad, I really want to talk about him. He has jumped up in price, 0.1 million so far already this game week. I don't know if you'd be bringing him in between now and the Bournemouth game in Game Week 17, but he is someone that if you just want a budget enabler, I think he's nailed on in the Ruben Amorim system. So I really like him as a player. It's hard not to recommend him, but I would potentially hold off until Game Week 17 to do it. I'm not sure how many goals they're going to be involved with in Arsenal, Nottingham Forest and Man City, and 2 of them fixtures are away. So I would be mindful of that, but he is a very good differential and I do really like him. Now, Gordon obviously was unlucky here, got the assist that led to the goal for Newcastle. With Isaac potentially missing this game, he is definitely a lock to be playing. So, look, I think Anthony Gordon is going to be creating the chances for Newcastle. So, I think he really is a good differential. He's going to make you a little bit of money. He's only 7.2 mil. So, again, someone that's very easy to move to from Brian Mbuemo. And his numbers are even better. So, 0.38 expected goals, 0.19 expected assists per 90. So, that's been pretty good. Now, the other person that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to do this because it's going to be easier to search them up. So, Enzo Fernandez, 4.8 million, 1.8% ownership. Now, he has been brutal the last 3 weeks. He's gotten 2 assists and 2 goals in the last 3 weeks. His expected numbers, though, are not the best. So, this is one of them punts where can he really keep it up? 0.16 expected goals, 0.13 expected assists. It's not horrible, but there's better options. But if you really want to free up money from Brian Mbuemo, you could probably almost pocket 3 million in doing this transfer. So that could be something worth doing moving forward. I'm not sure if that's where you want to go, but it's definitely something that you could do moving forward. Now, the last couple that I want to talk about in this particular section here, Souček and Odegaard. So Souček is another one that's a very budget option, and he's very niche. 4.9 million, so he's dead cheap, only owned by 2% of the comp. But when West Ham are playing well, he has good expected goal involvement, especially in the box off set pieces. And if he's playing, he looks good. So 0.27 expected goals per 90, 0.07 expected assists. He has scored 43 points. And again, he's another bargain option under 5 mil that help you free up other areas of your squad. That's definitely something you probably need to look at. But he's, look, another great option. West Ham have that amazing run of 5 fixtures the next 5 weeks. You would expect them to score goals, and I would be expecting Souček to be involved in that as well. Now, Mohamed Kudus is free to come back in for Game Week 14 away at Leicester as well. So here's another option that is low owned. But I think the fact that he's been out for so long, I think you'd need to hold off a week in order to see how he returns and just see if he's going to be back straight into the starting lineup or not. And the last one I want to talk about is Martin Odegaard. Now, he featured on this video in the last game week. That is now 3 games that he's been back, 3 returns. 7, 6, and 8. Like, he hasn't been setting the world on fire, and obviously his goal was from the penalty spot. But I would expect his number to continue to improve with the match fitness, and he was involved with everything. He obviously got hooked a bit early because, you know, the game was well won. West Ham were never going to be coming back after half-time. But look, he's definitely someone that you need to be aware of, I think, moving forward. His numbers are 0.3 expected goals per 90 and 0.26 expected assists. And Arsenal just run so much better when he's on the field, and he is involved in everything. So look, I still really rate him. I am going to be holding fire on the Bruno Fernandes trade this week because originally I was thinking he might become Martin Odegaard, but I am going to hold on that. But if you can get up to Martin Odegaard from Brian Mbuemo, I think that is probably the one I would do the most. I couldn't do it because I wanted to bring in Jurriën Timber in my defence, which was my other transfer from Van Heck. So the only way I could do that was by going to Mitoma instead, but that's what I would have liked to have done instead. So that's why Bruno Fernandes potentially could become Odegaard moving forward. Now, Jackson was definitely the differential last week in terms of the attack. And look, a lot of these players are getting heavily owned now. So I really want to focus on the ones that aren't heavily owned. So I'm going to cover them because there are a number of high owned forwards. Strand Larsen has made this video a number of times now. And look, he made the most of his chances on the weekend. 0.25 expected goals for his 2 goals and 11 points. That is fantastic stuff. The Wolves fixture run is for real. There is someone else other than Cunha in that team that can score, and it is Strand Larsen. And at 5.6 mil, he's just as cheap. He's actually cheaper now than João Pedro by 0.2 mil. So, like, if you can't afford to get there and you really want to go budget, he is still really good value for the next 4 weeks. I love those fixtures. Everton, West Ham, Ipswich, Leicester. The only disappointing thing is there's 3 of them are away games, but I expect Wolves to score in all of those games. So he's a great option there. Evanlinson, this dude got a hat-trick of assists. I mean, how good is that? 0.51 expected goals as well, and obviously the 3 assists. So assists don't count because they're all penalties that he won. They don't show up as 0.01. It's stupid the way it works. But he's now up to 0.52 expected goals, 0.06 expected assists. If he was on penalties, he'd be an absolute lock in my team. I think I'd actually get rid of Isaac for Evanlinson. But because of the fact he's not on penalties, it makes him slightly less appealing. But I really like him still as a differential moving forward. He is good value, and I think he's someone you should be looking at. Delap again, you know, he didn't do much against Nottingham Forest after highly underperforming against Man United. But the next 3 fixtures, he is a lock in that team, and he's a recommend for the next 3 weeks. If you were playing a really late wildcard, you can bring him in for a 3-week play, 100%. I think that he will return in the next 3 weeks. His stats aren't amazing. 0.34 expected goals, 0.01 expected assists. But he's definitely someone that you could go to if you wanted to. Now, if you've got a bit more money, you could go to Kai Havertz. Now, lots of people doubling up on the Arsenal defence. I'm anti-doubling up on defences after what I've seen this season. I'd rather just roll the dice, picking 4 different players from 6 different teams every week and hoping for the best because no one seems to be keeping clean sheets consistently. But Kai Havertz has to be in the question here. He's back to playing 90 minutes. That Nottingham Forest game, I'm not sure why he didn't play, but he was back playing. Arsenal's run's amazing and he sits there at the top. So I just really like him. Expected goal involvement, 0.43 per 90, 0.09 expected assist per 90. There's a lot to like there, and I think that that's definitely somewhere that you could go. Jamie Vardy. Now, Leicester are going to get the new manager bounce. The only concern I have is whether he's fit enough to play more than like 60, 70 minutes. But look, he had 0.52 expected assists, returned against Brentford. I'm expecting him to score goals in the next couple of games at home for Ruud van Nistelrooy. That's my honest opinion. I think the Jamie Vardy party will be up and about, and I think that's somewhere where you can go. Now, the last one that not many people are talking about is Cody Gakpo. Now, he is a bit of a minutes risk still, so obviously he does get rotated around, but he has been doing the job in the big games. Man City, obviously, he got the goal and 3 bonus points. 1.37 expected goal involvement as well. Like, the dude is delivering points. I just don't know if he's a lock. Like, at the start of the season, 100% he wasn't locked. He was coming back from injury and couldn't get in front when Luis Diaz was popping off. Now that he is getting into the team, he's in the team more often than he's not. And I think that means that, 0.35 expected goals, 0.12 expected assists. I think he's a better pick than Darwin Núñez. That's my honest opinion. That's where he started on the weekend anyway. So that concludes the differentials for Game Week 14. Now, I am going to be doing the wildcard draft now, so bear with us a second while I transfer over to that. So let's go into what that is going to look like in Game Week 14 and talk you through that. So wildcard draft for Game Week 14. Look, it's very similar to the 13 one. So if you want to look at a dedicated video for that, just go back and look at the 13 one. And you can realize here I can't spell can't. I actually couldn't fit that in. I'm just being stupid, and it's a massive... I actually stuffed up Haaland spelling as well. Just an FYI, just pointing out some clear, obvious errors. You can tell I've been very tired today. This has been a little bit sloppy. But please ignore that. So look, Haaland can't be in a wildcard draft at this point, even though fixtures do improve now for Man City. 3 premium midfielders is definitely the template moving forward. And if you haven't got it already, you're getting left behind by the rest of the competition. That's pretty much the end game here at the moment. Saka, Palmer and Salah are all dominating from week to week. You've got to be aware of Brighton, Arsenal, Chelsea fixture runs, which are ongoing in Game Week 14 and through for like a long time. It is a wait and see on Game Week 17 to Game Week 17 on United players. That is something that has to be said. I think you've just got to ride out the next 2 difficult away games and then reassess from there. But there are definitely some options I like, and I've talked about them in the differentials part of this video. Budget forwards are crucial to your team, and there are so many to pick from still. And Jackson was the pick out of Watkins, Isaac and Jackson. He has been amazing. Yes, he may still miss a game with the yellow card situation, but he has been so good moving forward. You've just got to keep backing him in, I think, moving on from here. Drafts also come down to personal preference and team value. You can't have everyone, and working out whether defense is worth the asking price will determine how your team looks. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you how I'm going to construct this for this week. So back into my team. So 88 points this game week. Obviously, took me into the top 65,000. There isn't too many things I don't like about my team. Now, obviously, the double up. I was talking about the double up in defence. And after the fact that Brighton obviously conceded late against Bournemouth the week before and cost me points there. Then I played them the double up against Southampton. They cost me there with a goal as well. I really do not want to be doubling up on any defenders moving forward. And I know that everyone goes, oh, you've got to get double Arsenal defence, double Liverpool defence, whatever. No, you don't. I think some people have had triple up Arsenal defence this week. As soon as one goal goes in, your defence is shite. It's gone down the gurgler. It's not the right play. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think it's the right play. Yes, it might pay off in some game weeks. And then other game weeks, you could be unlucky like me and leave Kirkes and Colwill sitting on the bench and 8 Noreen Hall on your field instead. But look, I have corrected this with 2 of my transfers this week. So we'll go to the transfers and what I would do if I was doing a wildcard draft for Game Week 14. I would keep the keeper and the keeper's the same at this point. Now, I have bought in Jurriën Timber, who is in the differential part of this video, for Van Heck, and Matoma has come in for Mbuemo because of the fact I just don't really rate him. Now, Isaac here is a concern, and I think if I'm on wildcard, Bruno Fernandes and Isaac probably don't make it. Now, this is where it gets a little bit interesting because as I said, I really like Odegaard for Arsenal. Now, there are other options that you could look at, but I still really like him. I think that that is the triple up on Arsenal you need. Saka, Timber, Odegaard. You can even go Havertz instead, maybe. I'm not sure if that's better. I just feel like the Odegaard also took a penalty that could be very good moving forward. And he has made that team a lot better. Now, in terms of the forward players, which forward player would I go this week? Now, I'm less likely to go a Wolves player because of the fact that their fixture run, as I said, they've got 4 really good fixtures coming up and then it disappears. So yes, I back him in for the next 4 weeks, but when I'm wildcarding, I'm looking longer term. So like longer term, I have to think about who's got the better fixtures. Now, Ollie Watkins here, Aston Villa's run is okay. I just don't rate the way they are playing. They're not playing well at all. I think he will score goals. I just don't think for 9 mil that he is the best option. Now, as I've talked about before, Havertz is also really good. Now, there is a world here where potentially you could go Havertz and Jared Bowen instead and spread your 3 Arsenal players that way. But I think here I'd probably go with Van Linson and I'd whack him in. So that means that I've got 2.6 million in the bank. Now, if I was on wildcard this week, I'd say if it was Alisson was back, I think I'd go a Liverpool goalkeeper and get out of the Brighton defence completely. But because he's not, it's hard to recommend to do that. So again, this all comes down to personal preference, and I base all these decisions on the long-term fixtures. In my mind, I don't think Aït-Nouri is going to rise again in price. Now, he's currently on 4.9. Does he make it to 5? If he scores the next couple of weeks, yes, he makes it to 5, and he'd make me an extra 0.1 mil. But because he's not, I think he has to go. And for this, now, you could go Trent. I could get a Trent back in here. Sorry. I'm just going to quickly go in here. Not sure why that's not showing up. Hold on. So you could get a Trent Alexander-Arnold in because I've got 7.2 million in the bank. I'm just not sure whether that's what I want to do. So, but I feel like he could be good moving forward, but Van Dijk's just been so good. I think I'd just play it safe and go with Van Dijk. And then that means I can then get a more expensive goalkeeper. So I think here I'd probably go an Onana. He's been super good. He's been super good for Manchester United. He's the top rated goalkeeper in terms of points production this season. And I think I'd roll 0.1 in the bank. That is the game week 14 draft I would go with if I was wildcarding. Yes, I've spent up a little bit more money on the defence and I've taken a bit of money out of my forward line. However, it's still easy enough to pivot with Jackson in my team now that he's risen up to, well, I could sell him for 8, but he's up to 8.1 mil. He's likely to keep rising as well if he keeps his form up for Chelsea. I think that's just, again, it covers all the bases. Lots of these players are playing 90 minutes every week. The only concern you would have moving forward here is João Pedro and Vanlinson in the forward line. But you'd expect they're both starters. They're probably just not going to play the full 90. And then obviously your defenders, you've got you're covering the Liverpool and Arsenal defences every week, and then you're just working out which defender's got the better fixture between Hall, Colwell and Kirkes moving forward from game week to game week. And then you just play Onana in the games when it doesn't make sense to play Fabianski. So this week I'd probably play Fabianski against Leicester. Arsenal, obviously you'd miss that, but then the week after I'd probably put Onana back in goal. So look, that is the wildcard draft I would go with for game week 14. I think it's really good. It spreads the money around quite nicely in your team. There's lots of points production there. You've got the 3 premium midfielders still, and Martin Odegaard and Mitoma in there as well. I really like it. The forward line obviously is covered as well with a nice fixture run there for Brighton and Chelsea. And obviously you've got the Bournemouth fixture run as well. And I think it's just a really good, nice, rounded draft for game week 14. Let me know in the comments if you would change anything, and make sure before you've made it, if you've made it this far to the end, 32 minutes, can't believe we've been going this long. I don't normally like doing long videos, but I have combined both videos into one for everyone's pleasure. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Let me know in the comments what you'd change, if there's something else you would do. I've obviously got about 104.2 team value, by the way, in my team. So that means that's why some of these moves are possible, whereas for other people, they may not be possible. But hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully the differentials has helped you out. It's tight at the top now. Lots of people have already gone to the Saka, Salah and Palmer combo. And look, if you're picking a captain from them every week, you're generally probably going to be playing it pretty safe. So that's pretty good. It just means it's going to be harder to get even further up the rank. I'm 65k. Hopefully I can get a bit further. Make sure you press the subscribe button if you're new, because that will definitely help out. And there'll be more content like this coming. You'll have my team selection and final plugs tomorrow afternoon, and a deadline stream on Tuesday night UK time, Wednesday morning Australia time. Thanks for watching. That's been the D Unit.